Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, Tov, Rabbi Prague, how are you?
בוקר טוב, ברוך השם.
Good.
יש חדשות מארצנו הקדושה?
Shakeh, there were like missiles that landed in Jordan that they heard the booms in Eilat. But otherwise, so far, that like what is quiet anymore anyway? I mean,
Yeah. But they intended to land in Israel, or they
no,
intended
no, no. It just flew over, it seems like.
uh, in Tehillim chapter 137, there's a very moving chapter that some people during the week, not on Shabbat, say before Birkat Hamazon. The chapter begins, Al Naharot Bavel, Sham Yashavnu. Nebuchadnezzar is taking the tens of thousands of people to Babylonia. Sham Yashavnu Gam Bachinu B'zochreinu et Zion. When they sat on the banks of the rivers, they realized what Zion was. There is a fascinating midrash that Yirmiyahu, the prophet, joined the tens of thousands of people that went to Babel. Nebuchadnezzar, the leader, warned his soldiers or commanders not to touch this holy man. So him being there, traveling from Israel to Babylonia, yes, was very comforting. When it was time for Yirmiyahu to go back to Yerushalayim, they started to cry. They said, how can you leave us? We need someone. So Yirmiyahu says to them, had you cried once before, the way you cry now, the destruction would not take place. This is very famous. Well, what is he telling them? What he is telling them is that we look today, yes, the end of June, the middle of June, and July, we feel that things are not as good. Our dear mayor had the chutzpah to say that the Israeli prime minister is not welcome in New York. Understand? Okay, so you say, okay, he's a mayor, he's this. But we feel comfortable. Not as secure as 10 years ago. The Jewish people knew what the prophets are telling them. But we see the temple, we see that everything is fine. Suddenly, when everything is done, and they realize this is real, and Yirmiyahu is going back, they started to cry, and Yirmiyahu says to them, had you cried sincerely as you cry now, this wouldn't have happened.
It's fascinating that if you read the pasuk, like in a normal time, because we don't think about it, it says, let's go. It says, Al Narot Bavel Sham Yashavnu. Why do you need the word Gam? It should Sham Yashavnu Bachinu B'Zachrenu et Zion.
What is the gum?
Right.
Yes. But the gam bachinu, תקשיב טוב, is בזוכרנו את ציון.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but because
No, 100% right. Yeah. So
we're so used to saying it, we don't, because all the Gams we've learned are so important.
But what they're really saying now is suddenly you realize what Sion really meant. And after Yirmiyahu told it to them, they realized, חבל שלא חשבנו על ציון קודם. There is a very famous, it happens to be a real story also. In one of the changes in Russia, I guess 120 years ago, so it came out that when the borders changed, so the Jewish cemetery is, let's say, belongs to, I'm making it up, to Hungary, and the other side belongs to another country. Okay, so at least they were very understanding that we have to bury our dead, even though it's a different country. So every time they had a funeral, they opened the gates, they checked, this is them. Now, Jews are Jews, Baruch Hashem, and some figured out here's an amazing way of smuggling stuff without being caught. You perform a funeral, you fill up the casket with whatever you want to bring in or out, right? And suddenly some Jews started to make a lot of money. After a few weeks, the guard says to them, open the casket. Says, open the casket? You not desecrate the body. Says, open the casket. They're saying to him, you never asked us before. Open it, of course. They caught all the smuggled goods and they arrested the people. The people asked the guard, what made you suspicious today? Says for months and months, those who carried the casket were crying. So a father, a mother, a child. The last few weeks, I didn't see too many tears. I saw, this is exactly this pasuk, you understand? Al na'arot Bavel, sham yashavnu, gam bachinu. Then we realized the power of crying, which we did not use. And again, why not? Because you feel comfortable. I grew up in Israel in the 50s, 60s. Okay, terrorists are here and there, but we have an army, we have a government. Look what happened from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 67, 73. We got used to everything is fine, we are in control. But this is really what tonight and tomorrow is. Tonight and tomorrow is we take time out to sit down and to cry. Again, not to cry on what we lost, is to realize that everything can come back if we really feel that we miss it. You see? Gam yashavnu, gam bachinu, suddenly we realize what Babel means and what Yerushalayim means. Suddenly we realize what we had and we lost. But then think about it. It's not only we cry on their past. Of course we cry, but the idea is by crying or by thinking, we are connecting ourselves with. Rani, did you ever see anyone on Tisha B'Av sitting down and crying?
Not really. Although, you see a lot of sadness and a lot of down-looking people. Nobody's saying hello to each other. It's a pretty solemn day, obviously.
Right.
Crying is another story.
At least we maintain the decor, so to say. As a kid, I definitely remember. But again, this is when I was a kid. The older people in my shul were people that remembered the Kotel before 1948. You understand? They remember the. But again, the idea tonight is of course we have to be sad, not because we have to be sad, it's just we have to focus and to realize that if we are improving, whatever we missed will come back to us. Everyone knows, the story. It's a good story on Hanukkah. George Washington saw a soldier lighting the menorah, and he told him, listen, we had a temple. It's a powerful story, regardless if it happened exactly the way it's being told. But the idea is, if hundreds of years later, we still commemorate something, obviously we are yearning. Now listen to the next one. Al Aravim betocha talinu kinorotei. we hung up our violins on the willow trees. Why? כי שם שאלונו שובנו דברי שיר. Our captors knew that we are the Levim who sang in Beit HaMikdash. Can you imagine? And they asked us to sing for them. ותולולנו שמחה. שירו לנו משיר ציון. Why can't you sing some of the beautiful songs? And the Levim are saying, of course, איך נשיר את שיר השם על אדמת ניכר? How can we sing? This is a very famous pasuk, yes? אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני. If I would forget you, Jerusalem, right? I'll forget my right hand. What does it really mean? Think for a minute, yes? The music of the Leviim was known to be heavenly music. And apparently this was a group of few hundreds, a few tens, whatever. The Leviim went to the Galut with the musical instruments, or at least the violins. The Gemara tells us which musical instruments they had. I asked once a fellow that was in charge of the choir at Flatbush. He told him this was the ratio of harps. But the Gemara is listing. He says to me, this is an up-to-date modern choir. Yes? The Gemara says to us that the Leviim beat the finger and they told the enemy, how can we sing? We read it is, how can we sing? If you have a gun over your head or someone is standing with a bat, you have to sing. But they told him, we cannot play the music because we are missing a finger. They beat the finger with their mouth. This is Eich Nashir. Emotionally, how can we? But in reality, how can we? Physically, we don't. There is a reason why in every Jewish wedding, Sephardic or Ashkenazi, think about it, for hundreds and hundreds of years, the happiest moment for parents when they marry off kids, the happiest moment for young couples is you get married, but before the ceremony is over, we have to remember for a second.
When did they add that?
Okay.
To the shepherd? When did that come in? Is that 100, 200, 500?
It's an interesting question.
Because is it in the Gemara, meaning the shepherd brachot or whatever?
It's a Gemara. The Gemara says, and be'emet, if you look at Shulchan Aruch, yes, when I got married, or hundreds that I saw, the rabbi's job is to take some ashes and place it here on the forehead. Oh. And the Shulchan Aruch says in L'chot Tisha B'Av, this is the way we should do. I was very moved. I was once at the wedding of a former student, today is a pediatrician, very successful, Dr. Klein. And he was dressed like a groom. And I told him, look, I came with the ashes in silver foil. He says to me, don't put the silver foil on my hair, take the ashes and pour it on my hair. I was very touched. You know, because sometimes some of it says, do it. But this is, think for a minute where they have a nation that every wedding, right before the ceremony comes to an end, and the young couple are leaving the stage, married, everyone remember. Now you understand, we do it today in a cute way, it sounds like, oh, and everyone starts to sing. But be'emet, it's a moment of silence. And the reason why he breaks the cup, people think, He breaks it because to remember Churban Beit HaMikdash, to remember Churban Beit HaMikdash.
But it's so but is that really how it worked? I mean, we have the last bracha, which is where you have Kol Sason, but they have Yerushalayim in its best, and then it transitions to be the sadness. And was this an addendum, or this is how it really? Because
give me a second, I'm bringing the Shulchan Aruch. Just give me a
thank you, Rabbi. Sorry.
Good morning, Larry.
How are you, Ronnie?
Tim.
Hi guys.
Oh, Ike, how are
Hi,
you?
wow.
Good
How
to
you
hear
doing?
your voice, Ike. Where you been?
I was away in Europe. I
Oh.
got back last week. Last week, end of the week.
Good to see your face.
You guys.
welcome back, welcome back.
Thank you, Rabbi. Miss you, Rabbi.
The Shulchan Aruch, now you can open it. The Siman Tav Kuf Samach 560. This is after the halachot of Tisha B'Av. Listen carefully to the Shulchan Aruch. שחרב בית המקדש, this is a Gemara in Bava Batra, תקנו חכמים שהיו באותו הדור, שאין בונים לעולם בניין מסויג ומחויר, I'm sure you saw in Israel a lot, but here in America you do see you have to leave 1 square foot unpainted. This is really what was supposed to be, and tens of thousands, okay? Listen to this. וכן התקינו שהעורך שולחן לעשות סעודה לאורחים, מחסר ממנו מעט. There was a time, okay, this no one is doing it today. When you set up the table for guests, you always leave one sitting empty. When a woman is putting her jewelry, this used to be, yes? Now here, Larry, וכשהחתן נושא אישה, לוקח אפר מקלה, you take ashes, ונותן בראשו במקום הנחת תפילין. Rani, did you ever see it being done?
No.
In the past, I didn't see it in the Sephardic community, but lately I do, because it's an open Shulchan Aruch, not Shulchan Aruch Sephardic, it's a Gemara, yes? But you take ashes and you put it. Then the Rama says, Larry, you have the Rama there?
It's B'yesh Mekomot.
יש מקומות שנהגו לשבר כוס בשעת חופה. Today we associating breaking the glass with a second before the excitement begins. On the contrary, it's the opposite, yes. או לשים מפה שחורה ושאר דברי אבלות בראש החתן. But anyway, those customs are part of what we just saw in Tehillim. וזוכרנו את ציון.
Rabbi, is the glass an alternative to the ashes or a supplement to the ashes? How do you read it?
It's a good question. If you read the Shulchan Aruch, the ashes is the important part.
Yeah.
He says, "V'yesh na'agu," and some have the custom.
So would you, but looking at the language of the Gemara or the Rambam, but you're reading from the Shulchan Aruch, does that imply it's a supplement, or those people who do this like instead of? What? How do you interpret that? Or we can't tell.
It seems it's a supplement. But interestingly enough, every Sephardic and Ashkenazi can break in the cup, put in the ashes. Yeah. I mean, if you ask me, one of the reasons that we don't do it is because people used to wear a hat. I'm not talking like a black Bosalino $400. Yeah, a hat the groom used to wear. Today, the guy's wearing $1,800 suit. $150 tie and coupling for $500, and you put ashes. Some of it might fall on the tie. Can you imagine?
Or worse yet, might fall on the gown.
No, you don't do it on the bride.
I know, no, I know that. I'm saying, but a little fallout. That's why we use white wine at the ceremonies, correct?
Now, listen what the Mishnah Berurah.
You use white wine at the seminar, sir?
And now shuls we use white wine. Rabbi, you've seen that, of course.
Of course. I mean, you spend most of your attention is the bride's gown. You understand? Here is a couple getting married for 6 years of marriage, but how can you have a drop of wine under?
But it's so unbelievable because you think about it, at least the man could perhaps wear that suit and that tie again and again. This idea of this bride wearing a gown, if she wears it once in her lifetime, so dry, it's I don't know.
Young men, this is life, okay?
I understand.
I once went to Pidyon Haben, and the mother of the baby wore a bridal gown to the Pidyon Haben.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like more.
As you said a few times, the minute the mother of the bride has
The mother of the bride has the gown. It's all about the gown. Once the mother of the bride, you get the gown, everything is good. The caterer, everything is fine after that.
No, but Rani, this is why we talk about it, Erev Tisha B'Av. This is a sign that we are in this age of Avilut. This is what the wedding is about. The wedding is we are coming to celebrate with a young couple that is building a new house. Yes? Building a new house is like building one of the broken houses in Yerushalayim. Yes? You know what the Gemara says? Listen carefully. כל המשמח, חתן וכלה, the Gemara says in ברכות, כאילו בנה חורבה אחת מחורבות ירושלים.
That's one.
I heard that in a speech once before, and I wasn't going to bring it up now because I thought you were going to tell me to say that should she comment, but I heard
Ronnie, I said that line in every one of my kids' weddings from the rabbi. It's from the rabbi. It's from the rabbi.
Explains the Chafetz Chaim. Now listen carefully. Explains the Chafetz Chaim. Since the destruction came from a lack of Ben Adam Lechavero, to make someone happy is I would fix it. Kol hamesameach chatan v'kala.
Nice.
I come to a wedding. I'm a stranger. I'm a friend of the grandfather or the father, and I am happy for a new couple who builds a house. Ki'ilu banat. This is the way to fix. This is what Tisha B'Av is about. Is to remember we had it. But we are so much in Galut, we feel so comfortable in our positions. Okay, so tonight we have to eat an afternoon an egg in ashes and a slice of bread. We cannot wear leather shoes. You sit on the floor. When I grew up, the shul was totally dark. People held candles. Today, cannot bring candles to shul. Cannot finish. But
the shuls, we dim the lights. They make the lights very dim, so it's hard to read even sometimes. Now I'm continuing the Shulchan Solari. Your question is how many years it dates back to the Gemara, not even the Rishonim. The breaking of the glass, Larry, if you pay attention, the Rama brings from the Kolbo. The Kolbo is 800 years ago, which means for years and years, ashes is what you put on. As a matter of fact, twice I went to a wedding and the groom came from a real yeshiva in the old city, this yeshiva, that yeshiva. But twice I heard the rabbi saying, the ashes I'm putting on your head, I collected from the ruins of Yerushalayim. We went to one of these diggings, yes. Okay.
Rabbi Prague?
Yes.
So I went, here, when I look at the computer, it said they give me Mekorot V'Kishurim Latour. And so, like you said, there's a Gemara, and he brings the Gemara. It's what is Baba Batra Sama.
Yes, yes.
It says, it's very interesting. It says, Maya Ros Simchati, Amar Rav Yitzchak, Ze'efe Mikre Sheberosh Chatanim, Amar Le'apapal Abaye, Hecha Manachle, B'makom Tfilin, Shne'emar, Lasum Lavelei Tzion, Latet Lahem Pe'er, Tachat Efer. Wow.
It's a Gemara Mefureshet.
Yeah, I'm reading it. I don't. How would I know it? I don't know.
No, but this is it's a siman. It's a siman in the Shulchan Aruch. Yes.
Wow.
Now, if you look at, remember, we're only reading it because it's Erev Tisha B'Av. This is a sign of the Tisha B'Av we are in. The last halacha in this siman Rani is Asur le'adam sheyemale piv schok. Can you imagine saying it in public? They'll send you to a psychologist.
What's the English? What's the English, please?
A person should not be excited and laugh too often.
Oh.
Now, of course, it's not shayach by us, but
wait, that's just the opposite of the Shir HaMalot, right?
Yes.
Because Shir HaMalot is good, right? B'shuvat Tzivat Sion. So they're opposite. So there you're supposed to do.
My friend, now you understand the Shir HaMalot. Rani, did you ever hear people sing Shir HaMalot, B'shuv Hashem, Shivat Sion Hayinu Kecholmim? Look on Tehillim 126. 126. Tehillim 126 is Shir HaMa'alot. Listen carefully. B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion. When the real redemption comes, Hayinu kecholmim. As then, Yimalei Yischok Pinu. It's mavhir, okay? It's a mavhir. Every Adam Gadol that you saw in your life, you saw him very often, smiling and laughing, because Dr. Zalman Auerbach's job is to make you happy when you talk to him. But deep inside, on regular occasions, we listen to comedians because we are looking for a reason to laugh. If we feel fulfilled about ourselves, our accomplishments, we don't need alcohol, we don't need jokes, yes. As Yimalei Yischok Pinu Shenei V'Gila. Now you know this pasuk, B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion Hayinu kecholmim. Rani, you understand this pasuk?
No.
When Moshiach comes and the redemption comes, I'm reading with the English translation, we will be as like dreamers. What does it mean like dreamers? A person wins the jackpot. I don't believe it. I'm dreaming.
Like a dream come true, so to speak, beyond even dreaming.
And listen carefully how deep the Malbim explains it. Originally, I saw Soloveitchik said it, but when was last time, Rani, you had a very good dream? At least teenagers or kids have. You know, dream, everything looks perfect. Why? It's your imagination. Yes? Everything looks perfect. The minute you wake up, reality is descending. Yes? Says David HaMelech, when the real redemption is going to come, we would see that exactly the way I dreamed about it is going to happen. Unlike a regular dream, that when you wake up, you see what reality is about, yes?
Like the secular expression, a dream come true.
Right.
Only if they're positive dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Look, for all the tens of thousands of Holocaust survivors coming to Israel was a dream come true, right? This is why in the 50s, in the 60s, everyone volunteered excitingly, yes, to serve in the elite units. This was then. Today, it's only the religious Zionist kids who are still looking at the opportunity to do from kibbutz, members of kibbutzim, and others are much less. But B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion היינו כחולמים. There is a reason, of course, why the Israeli national anthem is עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו. מה זה תקוותנו? Our hope from thousands of years. But of course, our hope was not להיות עם חופשי, it's להיות עם קדוש.
But wasn't there a discussion at one time that Shir HaMalot that we sing on was going to be the national? I think that there's.
I have news for you. Many people, members of the Israeli Knesset, the religious people, suggested.
Right, Shir HaMalot.
This should be the Israeli national anthem.
Right, the Chomim, for sure.
Not, but you understand, majority wins, so it's very good for us, but remember, this is the chapter 137, how the Leviim removed the thumbs. How can we sing? Now, זכור השם לבני אדום את יום ירושלים, אומרים מהו היסוד. Hashem remember what our enemies wanted to do, remember what they did. There isn't any chapter in Tehillim or Tanakh that ends up the way this chapter ends. It says, our enemies, Ashrei sheyochez v'nipetz et olelayich el hasela. Can you imagine? Hashem should bring upon you what you did to our babies. You took our babies and you smashed the heads against the rocks. Understand, when our mayor is talking about the war crimes of our prime minister, we should hang up pictures what they did to. But again, tonight, as we sit down, and tomorrow, this is the idea. The idea is we are sitting on the floor, we remove our comfort. The reason why we're not eating and drinking is to remove ourselves from our physical needs, to focus. There's no point of going to shul and saying whatever we say without the English translation unless you understand Hebrew very well. See, in the Ashkenaz sayings, every 7 lines is a description of a situation that happened. I'm using just an example, okay, an example.
Which are the, I mean, I don't know anything about the Kino. Which are the ones that are most, I don't want to say most appropriate, they're all appropriate. What ones do people focus on?
In many communities today, the subtotal Kinot is 40 and something. So for years and years, and by Hasidim even today, you start to say Kinot at 8 and you finish at 12. But in the last few years, it doesn't work. So what rabbis do is they take selected.
Which are the selected ones that they mostly choose?
I don't have it in front of me. Maybe I'll call you later. In upstate, I have
okay.
But the idea is, I'm using an example only. But you see, many of the Kinot are based on Talmudic stories that depict the situation. I'm using an example here. Give me a second. Listen to this. Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha the Tana was a very, very good-looking man. So naturally, his son and his daughters, his children, were very good-looking. Maaseh bebno, I'm reading Masechet Gittin 58. מעשה בבנו ובביתו של רבי ישמעאל בן אלישע שנשבו לשני אדונים. His son and his daughter were captured by two different people. לימים הזדווגו שניהם במקום אחד. The two masters that have two precious possessions, a very good looking man and a very good looking woman, זה אומר, one says, יש לי עבד, I have a slave שאין כיופיו בכל העולם. וזה אומר, I have a substitute שאין בכל העולם כיופיו. Of course it's a brother and sister. So the two owners of these possessions, the children of Rabbi Yishmael אמרו, let's marry them off and let's divide the children, because the children are going to be a very good looking man or woman. We would sell it, make a lot of profit. הכניסום לחדר אחד. Take this brother and sister who are unaware. זה ישב בזווית אחת, וזו ישבה בזווית אחת. Each one of them is sitting on the, remember this is a dark room, they put them together, they expect them to. זה אומר, אני כהן, בין כהנים גדולים. אשא שפחה? How can I marry a substitute? I am a כהן.
Oh.
I am from a lineage of כהנים גדולים. וזאת אומרת, אני כהנת. בת כהנים גדולים אנסה לעבר. Here are two young teenagers in a dark room, and everyone is crying. Listen a second. ובכו כל הלילה. They cried all night. כיוון שעלה עמוד השחר, the sun is rising, הכירו זה את זה, they recognize we are brothers and sisters, ונפלו זה על זה, they hugged each other, וגאו בבכייה, they were crying so serious, עד שיצאה נשמתם, ועליהם כונן ירמיהו, this is the pasuk in ירמיהו, על אלה אני בוכייה, איני יודע מים. It's mind-boggling.
Wait, Rabbi Prague, are these the children of Rabbi Yishmael Cohen Gadol?
Yes.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that in the Asarahim, he was so beautiful that the woman of the what? The one.
Right.
They cut his head off, and there was the bat kol. That's a fascinating. That's the two children.
It's two children. It's mind-boggling if you think, but you understand by us, Rani, many of the kinot are focusing on this story. So about 400, 500, 600 years ago, people wrote very sad, poetic stuff. The idea, of course, is to put ourselves into the picture. And if you sit on the floor and you read and you understand what two Jewish kids are doing, what they underwent, and the cry that they had, we connect to them.
You know what also would be a good one, Rabbi Prague? The story Shalosh Matanot.
Okay. What's interesting is 3 or 4.
Wow, what a story.
Were written after the Crusades. And they describe vividly the date that the Crusaders came into the community. It describes vividly how brides and groom kissed each other before they were slaughtered. But again, the idea is not to read histories, the idea is to connect and to realize that by the fact that we are thinking about it, this is what's going to bring it back. But of course, the cherry on top of all of that is there was a reason why it happened. And if we can walk away, tomorrow night feeling I'm going to be a little nicer, not as obnoxious, not as sharp, not as I'm going to guard my tongue more, we achieved. But this is really think about it. I remember, to me, it's fascinating. I was listening to to NPR. So this was during the Ramadan, and I forgot that the main host is a very bright, unfortunate Jewish person. And he speaks, what is the idea of having a month of fasting, this, that. And he says, I'm talking to the listeners. Is that I know that the Jews also fast in the summer. What is the reason? So a stupid man calls in. He says, well, we also fast. And the reason is because we are bad. And explain to millions of listeners that we keep our heritage as part of our daily, and by doing that, we still are building the hope. Speak to every Irishman. He definitely drinks the booze from Ireland. And of course, on the Irish Day Parade, is listening to the music. Do you really feel you're yearning to go back to Ireland? Go to Ireland. Most of religious people, talking about sincerely, definitely would move if it's possible. Many people plan after retirement, perhaps, to move if you find the right community, but we are connected. Yes? By each one of us, when you go to Israel and you come back, you really feel that you re-energized your batteries.
That's what it says, Yerushalayim Ircha Barachamim Tashuv.
But this is it. If the Amidah tonight in Arbit, tomorrow Shachrit, and tomorrow Bamincha, I mean, pay attention to the fact that we don't put tefillin tomorrow morning because we act as a fellow who is in the state of aninut. In Shachrit, everyone comes to shul without talit, without tefillin. By Mincha, everyone puts tefillin. Some Sephardic people, some Ashkenazi, put the tefillin in the house before they go to shul just to say Kriyat Shema with tefillin. Because otherwise we are saying Shema tomorrow morning. But be'emet, let's take it. We are mature adults and Hashem really has to help us. But it's Hashem who will help us. If we connect, the only thing we need is to connect to the story.
Rabbi, current events today, in the last couple of days, particularly within these week and 9 days, is Mamdani making his diatribe against Netanyahu. Yesterday, he came out with a statement, a 3-minute diatribe against that. He's a war criminal, and I can't prosecute him, but he should be known that he killed 70,000 people. He should be arrested. I can't arrest him, but it's horrible to hear it. It's frightening that a mayor of our city is such an anti-Semite. So in a way, it helps ground us because we're right in our midst. Our city mayor, the mayor of our city, is spewing this hate. We feel uneasy and so scared about it because who knows? It's going from bad to worse with him.
It's a grim reminder.
Yeah.
Reminder.
And he doesn't care. Obviously, it's the second largest city in the world with Jewish population, and look what he's doing. So that's really frightening.
The one that's voted for him. I mean, you cannot be voted without the Jewish liberals.
Yeah.
No, but remember, I'm saying again, for me, if I can do today, tomorrow, another chesed, this is my answer to our
Yeah.
The Chafetz Chaim had a beautiful phrase. Darkness cannot be chased away, sticks. Only with a match, light tells away.
Wonderful.
Have a meaningful fast, and B'ezrat Hashem will learn Friday morning.
Friday morning. Have an easy fast, a meaningful fast.
Thank you, Rabbi. Zacha Baruch, B'ezrat Hashem will
safe
celebrate
travels
this time.
today, Rabbi Traub.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Zacha Baruch.
Have a good, easy fast, Ronnie.
Okay, Larry, all the best.
Always.
Bless you.
Next year, Yerushalayim, maybe.
Amen.